Hello and welcome to a lovely summer's evening here in the UK, where I want to show you my new car, the Volvo C70 Cabriolet. Now let me give you a bit of a backstory on why I bought this car. We're a family of four and I've gotten away with driving a BMW Z4 as a daily car for a couple of years. It's not the most practical as it's only got 2 seats, so I reluctantly sold it to make way for a 4-seater. Now I've mentioned before that we Brits love a convertible so that we can make the most of sunny days like this one. And scrolling through social media one day I came across this one. 2 owners from new, one of them being a demonstrator, a Volvo dealership, full service history and 70,000 miles on the clock. And it jumped out at me because my first car was a C70 coupe that my dad bought me in the same Nautic blue with beige interior. So I visited the owner, took it for a short test drive, and shortly after I parted with 800 British pounds. So let's have a look at what my money has bought me. The C70 is a luxury 4-seater convertible. A British designer called Peter Horbury created a more rounded shape, which was a contrast from the decades of boxy designs before. In fact, he said Volvo has thrown away the box and kept the toy inside. It's based on the 850 platform and was built as a joint venture with Tom Wilkinshaw Racing, who helped with the basic layout and setting up the suspension. It was produced for 8 years from 1997 until the Mark II C70 took its place in 2006. So this one was registered in 2003 and shows some battle scars from its time on the road. A lot of it was touched up before going on sale, but the paintwork is generally okay. The wheels, however, have seen some action and have quite a lot of corrosion on them that needs addressing. The soft top looks like it was coated or dyed at some point, so you've got spots where the fabric is a lot darker and a lot stiffer, so at some point I will spend some time cleaning that all off. By today's standards, it does look a little dated, especially compared to how great the new Volvos look and feel. And I do feel like I've aged about 20 years going from a sports car to a big open top cruiser with beige interior. But I've got some grey hair starting to show, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with saying I borrowed my dad's car for a few days. Now that we're sitting in the cabin, we need to talk about the beige because it's pretty much everywhere in here. The seats, the carpets, the dash, the doors, and it's all looking a little bit tired too. I'm certain the seats haven't been cleaned for some time or treated for that matter, so there's a lot of cracked and worn out sections that no amount of cleaning is going to resolve. But they are still very comfy for long drives. I remember the stereo system in my coupe was fantastic as standard, and on this car there's a similar setup with tweeters up high. You've got 2 speakers in each door, 2 in the back, and there's another one up here on the dash. It's old technology on the head unit though. FM radio, CD and a tape player, so I've resorted to a plug-in Bluetooth transmitter to connect my phone up. The AC blows cold for hot days and it has got heated seats for winter, although my side is currently not working. We've got cruise control, nice clear dials and a trip computer, although I have decided to try and ignore the average miles per gallon because it's pretty shocking for anything other than the motorway, where it goes from a thirsty 19-20 miles per gallon for round town driving up to around 30-35 once you're up to speed. And on that note, let's move on to the driving, shall we? Now I'm going to say straight away that the ride is okay. If you are considering the Volvo C70 convertible, with no roof, it just lacks rigidity and it's going to shake, rattle and flex over pretty much anything other than the freshly tarmacked road. I was aware of this flaw in the C70s even before I bought the car, but even then I was surprised at just how bad it was. Now this isn't because of old suspension or something wrong with the car, it actually came like this from the factory. You can buy a strut brace for the front for about £300, and some people will put on a cheap tow bar just to try and stiffen up the back, but even then it doesn't cure the problem completely. They just didn't think to put in a load of extra strengthening to account for having no roof. And what you're left with, because it's a very long car, nearly 5 metres, is something that just wobbles around like a jelly at times. but when you get up to speed it does just glide along like you're on a cushion. The guy that I used to work with called it a land yacht, and it is exactly that. It's got a very boaty feel when you turn it into corners, and it leans hard on the front, so you're going to wear out that side of the tyre quite easily. These cars are notorious for having a really bad turning circle as well, and with the roof up you can barely see anything, so it's complete guesswork if you're trying to reverse into a space. It's quite a heavy car, so it feels pretty solid when it's not wobbling and shaking around, and it builds speed well enough with this 2.4 low pressure turbo 5-cylinder block that it's got. Power is just under 200 horsepower and 0 to 60 about 9 seconds, but it's a 4-speed docile automatic. It doesn't exactly scream performance. Instead, it remarks on what a lovely day it is as it just wafts along. With the leisurely cruise over, I just wanted to highlight a couple more bits you might want to consider. Entry into the back seats is easy enough when the roof is down. You simply step in and sit down. With the roof up, however, you need to fold yourself in half to squeeze past the front seat. And like a cold swimming pool, it's actually alright once you're in. Just enough legroom and headroom, and the seats are quite comfy. But then, on your way out, you will face the same challenge of navigating through, whilst stooped over like you're coming out of a mineshaft. Then there's the large boot for the weekends, which is taken up completely by the roof. I guess it has to fold up somewhere, but it leaves you no space for your luggage unless you pack for your holidays with a briefcase, because that's probably the only thing you're going to fit under here. I remember my old coupe had loads of boot space, so if you need the room, you're not fussed about the open top, and prefer cars without the floppiness, I'll suggest considering the coupe instead. So as long as you see this car for what it is, a nearly 20-year-old cruiser with comfort and abundance, if you can get used to the wobbles and shakes, 4 seats with a sky view when the roof finally opens, and all for less than £1,000, then this car may be for you. As for me, I love it, even if I have to constantly put fuel in it. Next stop, petrol station.